Cognitive learning is becoming big business, and board games are making some pretty surprising moves in a space where digital games have dominated. We'll look at what's behind the revival and where the money is going when it comes to training your brain. Now, the global board games market size was valued at around 14 billion US dollars in 2024, according to Fortune Business Insights. This year, the market is projected to grow to nearly 16 billion. And we are joined by Cheyenne Maechtle, a lecturer at the University of Taipei, and Matthew Farber, an associate professor of educational technology at the University of Northern Colorado. He's also the co-author of the well-read Game on Playing Thoughtfully. Now, Matthew, in general, how is cognitive learning becoming a business opportunity, whether it's through apps, training programs, or educational tools?
Yeah, so when I grew up, there were a lot of educational, well, there weren't a lot, but there were some educational games. And this was an era sometimes nicknamed chocolate-covered broccoli, where the action you're doing in a game does not align with what you want to teach. So there was a classic version of a math game where you have to shoot an alien, like in Space Invaders, but to shoot the alien, you have to solve an addition problem. And that turns the action of addition into this chore you have to do to get to the fun stuff of blasting an alien. Fast forward to the research in the last maybe 12 years or so, there's a concept called balanced design. And in balanced design games, what you're doing in the game, the player mechanics or actions players do, should be what you also want them to learn. And then if it's on a computer-based game, that can be reported in the form of analytics in the dashboard. So there is a game, there's an algebra game that's been around for a bit called Dragon Box Algebra. And the mechanics of that game is canceling and balancing, which is part of the rules of algebra. So you're learning algebra by doing algebra.
Cheyenne, in Taiwan, what is driving the market for cognitive learning products? Are we seeing the push from schools, parents, or perhaps those who think outside the box when it comes to teaching like you?
I believe schools are heavily now invested in different tools for education. So I visited an elementary school not long ago where there's an iPad hour where there's a cart with all iPads on it. Every student gets one. They set it up and then they play a learning game on that. And so they all seem to look forward to that time in the classroom.
What other kinds of games are making waves here in Taiwan, especially when it comes to the educational sector?
Oh, there are a lot. I just like to mention this one, which is just a very silly game. Let's dig for treasure. So we're going to dig for some buried treasure. And you just dig and you can dig up all sorts of things, okay? You keep digging until you get 2 worms or an evil skeleton. All right, so you might just get some dirt. And
What's better, worms or an evil skeleton?
Yeah, right. If you get worms, you get 2 worms. You get 1 worm, but if you get 2, then you're out. Okay, but you can find all sorts of things in here, including nuclear waste that's buried and so on. So it's a very silly sort of game, but it has some serious implications. So then I can talk to students about, well, are there some things buried in the earth that are valuable we're still looking for? Are there endless resources or not? Are there perhaps even some bad things like some nuclear waste that we don't know about, the governments have hidden somewhere? So even though a game may seem a little frivolous, it can actually lead to some good discussions, I think.
That's an interesting thing, if I could build upon that. Mm-hmm. As we talk about board games and video games and compare the two, I think in classrooms and in the US, board games are also quite popular in libraries, in college libraries and in public libraries too. But I think what's interesting about board games and card games and non-digital games is that the educator in the room would tend to lead a debrief, making those connections from what's happening in the game to outside of the game. Whereas video games, especially educational video games, there is often an assumption that the video game is going to teach, assess, and do everything all at once, and the player or student gets to the end of the game that they've then learned the thing that the game is trying to teach. And that debrief, that conversation around and about the game is, you could argue, one of the most important things because that guides learning transfer. Some games have curriculum that go with it. I worked with Tracy Fullerton, whom I wrote the Well-Read Game with. And she has a game called Walden, a game. And there's Walden, a game EDU, which if you Google it, you would find it. And we create a curriculum around it. So you're not just playing through this 3D world of Henry David Thoreau. It's based on the book by Henry David Thoreau, Walden. But there are lessons and discussion questions that go with it. And I think that is key when we're talking about digital games and the value of board games.
And do those games easily cross over, especially the ones that are making a mark in the U.S.? Do they easily cross over across to this part of the world?
Some do. It depends on language proficiency, I suppose, right? Walden is this 3D world where there's a lot of books and text that you find, and it's also free and streams in a browser, so that eliminates a lot of barriers for adopting in a classroom.
And in a nutshell, what have you got your eye on, as we're running out of time here, but what have you got your eye on that's set to come out of your part of the world in the US as far as the gaming industry goes? What kind of a game do you think you would readily be looking forward to?
That's a great question. So I think what is interesting is when we could take some commercial games, some of the games that we see on gamesforchange.org's website, and pair them with books in classrooms, so that way students can learn from different modalities or bring the experiences from the games to the books. So I think overall that's an interesting direction, the adapting of commercial games into classrooms, the way we use novels that are commercial and bring those into classrooms.
Cheyenne, you've shown us a fantastic range of games that you have right with you, but what have you got your eye on for the future of games here in Taiwan? Is there something that's coming out or that you hope will come out that will help the learning sector here?
Well, I'm hoping there are going to be more bilingual games, and I'm just going to pop up one more here. Dead Man's Draw. It's a pirate game. So when something is hot, for example, pirate movies, there'll be a game coming out. And this came from the US. However, it's been translated into Chinese as well. And so students can look at, kind of cheat and look at the Chinese if they need it. And I'd like to see more games like that, so that we don't have this divide. We'll never figure out that game or something like that. So instead, we need more translations and perhaps even some games that are a little more topical for Taiwan or this region.
Well, thank you both so much. Matthew, I hope you'll be coming to Taiwan soon so we can visit Cheyenne and play some games in his office there.
Will there be boba tea?
Oh, yeah, sure. We'll throw that in too.
Okay. Perfect.
Matthew Farber, Associate Professor, University of Northern Colorado, and Cheyenne Maechtle, Lecturer at University of Taipei. Thank you both so much for your time. And for those of our viewers who like to roll the dice or put down cards, what are your most stimulating games? If you're watching on YouTube, let us know in the comments section below. Click the video next to me to learn about the cognitive benefits of playing games. And remember to subscribe and click the bell for more stories on tech and business from Taiwan.